Okay, today in class we learned about how to make rotations using the Geogebra tool. So I am going to go through the same process that we've been doing, setting up my screen. So I'm going to go up to my wheel, show grid, major grid lines. Having the major grid lines makes it a lot easier for us to work with our moves. Okay, so now I need to go over here, click more, so I have all my tools available. And I'm going to create my triangle. So I'm going to go to polygon and I'm just going to create my triangle. Click A, I'm going down 4 spaces. Click B, then I'm rolling over 3. Click C and then back. Now remember, when you're making your polygon, you want to click and then unclick and then just move the mouse. Click and then unclick, move the mouse. You don't want to click and drag. Okay. All right, so I have my triangle A, B, C, and now I want to practice making some rotations. Now, remember, in class today, we talked a little bit about circles and making rotations. And I'm just going to pull up the notes from what we talked about today instead of just redo them. But I'll pull up those notes here in just a second. But remember that a rotation has to do with a circle. 360 degrees is a circle. So when you're trying to do some rotations, let me zoom in here. Okay, you know that you're working with a shape that's going to rotate around a circle. And we have clockwise, which would be forward, and we have counterclockwise, which would be backwards. And we can move our shapes any degree along that circle. A lot of times we start with like the benchmarks, 90 degree, 180 degree, a 270 degree, and then back to 360, which would take us back to where we started. Now, sometimes I showed the class that, you have the compass and you have like the center of your rotation. So when I made the circle, this is the center of rotation. When I want to rotate a shape, I can pick the center of rotation. So if I do my triangle ABC, I can rotate around C, and that's the center of my circle. And then you can see I drew the circle around. That means my shape A is going to rotate around the circumference of the circle. Now, if I don't want to use one of my points as a rotation, I can use a point in the middle of my paper. So here I made my point here, and I've made my circle now larger. So now A is going to rotate around the outside circle because I've enlarged my circle. My circumference is larger, my diameter is larger. So instead of rotating around point C, which would keep my circle, my shape real tight in this small circle, I can rotate around this one, which will take A outside this larger circumference. Okay? So that's what we're going to practice today using this Geo tool. All right, so how do I rotate? We're going to go ahead and use point C to start. I want to take my original triangle and I want to rotate it around point C. Here's how I do that. Scroll all the way down to my transform buttons, and I'm looking for rotate around a point. Rotate around a point. It's the second one. I want to click it, and then I need to click the triangle, and then I need to click point C because that's what I'm going to rotate it around. It's going to open up a box. Now, I need to tell it how much I want to rotate it. We're going to use 90 degrees. So I'm just going to type in 90, and instead of going backwards counterclockwise, I want to go forward clockwise and hit OK. So now I've taken this right triangle and I've rotated it 90 degrees to form this copy. Now, because I'm going to be making a few rotations, I don't want to get confused. So I'm going to color code this shape. I'm just going to make sure I'm on the move tool. Don't forget, make sure you're back on the move tool once you do your moves. I'm going to change it to green. Okay, so you just click the shape, a little ink dropper will drop up, click up, and you can just click your color. Now, I also want to get good at labeling. So I'm going to go down to the ABC. The ABC text button is all the way at the bottom. I'm going to click, and then I'm just going to click right above the triangle. And in the box, I'm just going to type 90-degree turn, or let's use rotation, clockwise. Okay, click. and then I can just label it. I can either put it above it or inside, whichever you want. I'm just going to put it right above it. Okay? Oh, cancel. Make sure you go back to the move. All right, so now I've made one rotation. So now I want to go back to my original shape and see what it would look like if I rotate it 180 degrees. So this was a 90-degree turn rotation. I'm going to do a 180-degree rotation, counterclockwise. I mean clockwise, not counter. Forward, to the right. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down, find that button again, rotate around a point. I'm going to use the same point. So I click rotate, click my blue triangle, the original, and then C. Now, again, got to tell it what to do. 180 degrees, the degree sign's already in there. Change it to clockwise. Okay. Notice it's opposite. It's like on the opposite side. It almost kind of looks like a reflection. That's why in the warm-up today we were like, is it a reflection or a rotation? This kind of looks like a reflection, but if you notice, it's kind of like if you rotate it around, my A is now down below and my B is now on the opposite side, but C is in the same place. Okay, let's change the color just so we can color code and not get confused. And then I can even label. This one is a 180-degree rotation clockwise. Okay, that's done. All right, now I'm going to do the last one. So I've now gone over 1/4 of my circle, 2/4 of my circle, or half my circle, and now I need to do the 270. So again, I can kind of predict that it's going to be maybe the opposite of this one. The green one might be opposite, and it's going to fill in this space here. So let's see what happens. All right, go down to the tool, rotate around a point. We're going to go back to the original, always using the original to rotate. Okay, click the original. C is my rotating point. Now I want to do 270 degrees, 90 plus 90 plus 90, clockwise. And I was right. I made that prediction that it would be the mirror opposite of this. And you can even see B is up, B is down. A is to the right, A is to the left. The center point is still the same. Let's change the color. Move tool, click the shape, click on another color. Let's use purple. Okay, let's label ABC at the bottom. Click, click, click. All right, 270-degree rotation clockwise. Okay. All right, now I've made a full circle. If I rotate it 360, it's going to come right back where we started. I can show that to you real quick. It'll take just a second. Rotate, click, C, 360, clockwise. See, it got a little darker because it's now right back where it started. I have made a full rotation. Now, watch how cool this is. So remember we talked about rotating. Rotations are nothing more than just rotating around a circle. Now, I have a circle here. I might not realize I have a circle, but I can prove that I have a circle. Let me get rid of that. By going up to the top, see where it says circle with center? So I can click this button and then click C. Now, just drag your mouse. Create that circle and stop when you get to the A's. And notice, just like we said, okay? Just click a point, it'll stop the circle for you. Otherwise, it just keeps going in and out. You can now see that A is rotating around the circumference of the circle. A is the furthest point away from the center. So it's the max. It's going to circle around, rotating around 90 degrees, and you can see the 90-degree angle. And then the 180, straight line, okay? And then the 270, which is a 90 plus a 90 plus a 90, okay? All right. Now, what if we don't want to rotate around the C or part of the shape? What if I just want to rotate around some random spot in on my paper? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to refresh because it's just easier. I'm going to get rid of this, okay? Reload. It's going to take me back to the starting point because it's easier than deleting each object. Takes me just a second to set this back up. There's my grid box. All right, I'm going to make a new triangle. Okay. Now, I'm using triangles because they're easy, but we could do this with any shape. And as we go through the unit, we will practice with other shapes, not just triangles. Triangles just easy because there are only 3 points and they're just kind of easy to create. So that's why I'm using triangles. All right, so here I have my triangle. Okay, I'm just going to put it off to the side. And let's say I want to rotate it around a point somewhere here in the middle. So I'm going to create a point. So go up to the point tool and just click somewhere. Boom, there. So I have point D. Now, point D actually could be a circle. If I rotate my shape around, it's going to form a circle, a pretty big circle. Notice D, how far away it is from C, even further away from A. So this is going to be my, basically like my, kind of like my diameter. It's going to go across from D to the outside edge, and A is going to follow the circumference around the circle. So imagine you can see a big giant circle here. So let's see what happens when we rotate this shape around point D. So go down to rotate, click that triangle. Now this time we're going to click point D. All right, for fun, we're going to go backwards. 90 degrees counterclockwise. I don't even have to change it. Okay. Notice, let me zoom up a little here. Notice I'm kind of off my grid because it's going to be a pretty big rotation. Notice the shapes aren't anywhere near each other. We're away from point D. We're rotating around point D. Okay, so if I were to draw a line from C to D, it would be the same distance from D to C, and it would form a right angle. I can show you that at the end. We'll do that at the end. Okay, so now I want to take my original shape and move it, rotate it 90, 180. All right, and I'm not going to color code for this one. We're just going to go through this a little faster here. All right, rotate this shape around D. What do I want to do? 180 degrees this time. I don't even need to change it because I'm going backwards. And there it is. Now my last one. I want to rotate this shape around D, but I want to do 270. So rotate this shape around point D. 270 counterclockwise. I'm done. Now watch the cool stuff. Let's go back up and prove that this is a circle. Okay, so I have my circle, click that D, and now just drag your mouse and stop when the circumference hits all the A's. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of like that, and then click on the circle, it'll stop it. Okay, there we have it. My A is rotating around a circle, and notice there's a lot of space in between, and that's because look how far away C is from D. Okay, D is our center point, not C. Last time we did it, C was our center point. Okay, now remember, I told you that I made a 90-degree rotation here. So that means from C to D and from D to C should form a right angle. Let's see if it does. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to make a line segment. C to D, D to C. All right, now measure angle. Remember we did that the unit 7. Let's see. Measure angle. Click that. Now click C to D to C. It's a 90-degree angle. Isn't that the coolest thing? Okay, now watch. We're going to do the straight one, right? Okay, so now I need to add another line segment from D to C. And notice it's a straight line. I mean, I don't even have to measure it. I can, but I don't have to. But let's do it. Let's measure it. All right, let's find the measure. Measure angle. Click measure angle. C to D to this C. 180. 180. See, I can even slide this out. There we go. And then look, I can go and measure from C to D. Oh, from C to this C. Now this one's going to be a little tricky because that's a reflex. That's a reflex angle. So that one's going to go all the way around 270. Okay, but I can test it. I can make another 90 degree here. Let's see. Find my measure. All right, C to D to C. There it is. It's another 90-degree angle, which we knew. Okay, 90 plus 90 plus 90 plus 90, all three 90s is 270. Okay, pretty cool stuff, right? All right, so this is how you use the rotation tool on the GeoGebra. Again, you should practice using all three tools, okay? We've got the translate, we've got the rotate, and we've got the reflect. We've used all three of these. So practice using them. Anytime you're making a rotation, you know you can even test it by making the circle and just see if your shapes fit within that circle. If you did your rotations correctly, the outside circumference of your circle should be the outside edges of your shape, the furthest away from the center. Okay? All right.